Hello and welcome to another podcast episode. My name is Shannon. I am a knitter, crocheter and final year accounting student based in Scotland. If you would like to follow me on my social media and see more of what I get up to during the week, I will leave those handles on the screen and also in the description below. If you are new here, welcome. If not, thank you for coming back. And let's get into today's podcast. We have a finished object, a new cast on, and then some whips that have been around for a little bit. So let's get into it without further ado. The first thing I have is a finished object. This is my dance floor top by Knitsy. This is a test knit and I have finished it. I need to there's some stitch markers to mark where the eyelets are, and I need to take them out, and I also need to trim my ends. But we have a finished top. That's what the front looks like. And then the back is a lace up. I've just kind of quickly laced up so you can kind of get an idea of what the back looks like. I've not like properly worn it with it laced up and all that yet, but I will do, and I'll get some photos. But this is my finished top. I did the slightly longer length. The pattern will have a cropped length and then like a waist length. And I've done the waist one just because I wanted mine to be a little bit longer. The yarn I used for this is Soster & Gran, the 8/4 cotton. And I can't remember when I spoke about it. It might have actually been a Whip Wednesday video over on my TikTok, but I was a little bit worried about yarn chicken. I unravelled, because I think I'd done a couple of swatches, I unravelled one of my swatches and that was more than enough. I didn't even need to use all of it. I think I swatched for a previous project with this yarn and ended up not going with it. So I unravelled that swatch and it was more than enough. But yeah, it is all finished. I can't remember when the pattern's coming out. I feel like it's probably another month or so. If I can find roughly when it's expected to be released, I'll put it on the screen. But it's my dance floor top. Then we will get into, I think we'll do like whips that have been around for a bit, and then I'll do a new cast on. So start with this. This is my self-drafted cardigan that I've been doing. I have finished the cuff. This is the sleeve, by the way. Finished the cuff. I have started knitting the main part of the sleeve and increasing. This is still the first sleeve. I have not worked much on this because I wanted to get this done, and then I think I mentioned last week that I got selected for 2 more test knits. One of them is the new cast one, and I will get to that. The second one, once I get paid, I get my first paycheck from my new job on, I think it's Friday, which I'm very excited. I'm then going to order in some Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair for that one. I have not tried Knitting for Olive and I'm very, very excited. So, but yes, it was one of those things of I knew that I had 2 more test sets coming through. This is basically why I haven't worked much on this. I knew I had 2 more test sets coming through, so I wanted to finish this one so that then when the yarn arrived for the next one, I could focus on that, and then also I've started the other one. So, but I have finished the cuff and have started doing the increasing. I've done all the calculations I need to do. So it's now just knitting, and I will knit 2 of these exactly the same. I was originally going to block all the pieces and then sew them together. However, I'm kind of thinking, like, do I need to do that, or do I just sew them together and then block up all together afterwards? I don't know. If anyone's got any tips on that, on what they would recommend, please let me know, because I don't know. But either way, I'm going to have to get some colour catchers because I am worried that this kind of like tealy colour will bleed into the cream. This yarn is just a non-superwash, quite rustic wool from somewhere in New Zealand. I picked it up at a market when I lived there. So yeah, I don't know too much about it. I don't actually know what type of wool it is, just that it is a non-superwash wool. But yeah, and then I'm using 3.5mm needles. These are my Liquet needles, which I love. The next one I'm going to show is my Nuage sweater by Valentina Bogdanova, and it still looks like a massive loop. I've got this chart and then some of the next chart to do before I can actually split for sleeves. Because it's a long cable as well, it likes to get tangled. What is happening? Right, we are sorted. That took way too long. It got really tangled. I have no idea how, why, anything. But yeah, it is just a massive loop. I'll see if I can get a close-up of the actual like lace. So I'm using Mama Wooling. This is her I cannot speak today, my gosh. This is her Misty Mohair base. Colourway is Virgo Season, and I've got in the same colourway, I've got the Fingering Weight, which is this one here. So yeah, I'm really enjoying the colours. I'm enjoying how they work up, and because it's quite I think it's quite a muted colour. I think it works really well with the lace. It just right now it does not look like a jumper. It looks massive, like this is not going to fit me. But I got gauge and I'm following the pattern, so I think this is a trust the process. Yeah, but that's okay. While I've got them on, may as well talk about them. These are my needle stoppers. I got these in an advent from Mama Wooling a couple of years back. And I don't use needle stoppers very often. However, for this project, I am, because there are stitch markers every 16 rows. And in order for me to stop, not have to use like stitch stoppers and not have the markers fall off, I would have to stop in the middle of a repeat, which I don't want to do. So I'm using stoppers so I don't lose my stitch markers. But I mean, they're also very cute, so not complaining. Hopefully this doesn't get tangled as I put it back in the bag. I know some people just leave their projects, they don't really put them in bags. I can't do that. If this is the first video of mine that you've watched, I have a cat and she's lovely, don't get me wrong, but everything is a toy. So if I leave my yarn out, she will try and eat it, she will play with it, and my project will be gone. So I have to put everything in little bags so that I can deter her from attacking it. Because if it's like this, right, okay, yes, she can still play with the bag, but it's going to be a lot harder for her to actually get in to the yarn. Because if it sits there like this, I mean, the most she's going to do is pounce on it. So that's why I use bags for pretty much all of my projects, because I don't trust my cat. Love her, but do not trust her. Right, this one has been going on for a while and actually got some work on it this week, got some love. This is my Marina shawl by Amber O'Brien. This is also going to be a tangly one because there's a lot of stitches. Okay. So as you can see, the stripe section is getting it's getting quite big now. So I have a few more repeats of the stripe section to go. There are so many stitches on this now that it feels like it's taking really long to do one row. But at the same time, this is quite a nice mindless project because I am just knitting garter stitch with some increases, so which is lovely. And then after this it is the lace pattern, which I am very looking forward to. I'll go yarn first. This is, I think both of these are sock yarns. The blue is on a silver like stellina base, but this is Blue Moon 4 by Black Elephant. I actually, a little bit of a tangent, but Black Elephant posted a reel on their social media, and she was talking, basically it was talking about how difficult it is for small businesses right now, especially with like a lot of the changes that are happening. And I felt really bad, like, because I love her yarn. There's so many dyers that I really love, and if I could, I would have gone and made a purchase, and I would have looked at what projects I want to do, and picked a yarn accordingly. However, even though I am working now, I'm trying to be careful with my yarn purchases, so I'm probably only purchasing, doing one yarn purchase, I think, a month, with the exception of like fibre festivals. So I can't really, unless I bought just like one skein. So, but I don't know. I would love to purchase some more, but I can't right now. But it makes me feel really sad that, like, I know that there's a lot of small businesses that are struggling right now, and it makes me very sad because they put so much time, effort, love into their businesses, and if I could, I would like financially support more, but I can't, and I think there's a lot of us that are in that boat, so I just felt quite sad. But hopefully she keeps dying. She was thinking about, does she think about winding up? I really hope she doesn't. Anyway, the second yarn is Goody Yarns. This is City Nights. I didn't realise until I watched her, I think it was her Vlogtober from last year. This was the Glasgow School of Yarn exclusive colourway from last year. So that's fun. I had no idea. I'm hoping to go to Glasgow School of the School of Yarn this year. I think I couldn't go last year, probably something uni related, to be fair. But we have Scottish Yarn Festival next weekend, and I need to get tickets for that because I really want to go. It's in Perth, so it's not far from me at all. And then Glasgow School of Yarn will be coming up as well. I missed Woolly Good, unfortunately. I had a ticket, but then realised I double booked myself, so whoops. So hopefully I'll get to both of those, which will be very fun. And I think Goody Yarns is vending at Glasgow. I need to check. I know Nervous Fibre is vending at Scottish Yarn Festival, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. Because I've seen some of the colours and colourways, but it'd be nice to see it in person. So yay, exciting. Every time I go to talk about a project, I just end up going down a different tangent. Still yarn related, but not particular to the project. I'm using, these are 3.75. I didn't swatch because it's a shawl and I'm not really bothered if it comes out a bit big. These are my Lequet needles as well. I forgot to mention for this one, I'm using 3mm needles for that. I'm currently using the Knit Picks Caspian ones because they're my ones with the longer cord. But I also have a pair of Knit Pro Symphonies on a shorter cord, which I'll use for the neck. And then lastly, we have a new cast on. It is a bit loud because I am going to be heading out into town soon. And I think I'm going to try and take this with me in case I decide to stop into a cafe and have coffee. I have not done that I don't think I've done that since I got sick. So we're talking, what? Be coming up on a year soon. My gosh. So yeah, might do some cafe knitting today. It really depends on how I feel once I get into town. So I do want to go look at the charity shops because I'm wanting some more like work appropriate clothes. So I'm looking in charity shops and on Vinted at the moment. But we'll see after that if I have the energy to stay out for a little bit longer, or if it's like, okay, I need to hop on a bus and come home. I can't plan too much these days. I kind of have an idea and then we just roll with it, really. Sometimes it feels like rolling with the punches. Anyway, new cast on may come with me to when I go out in case I decide to do some cafe knitting. So I have like my little notions tin with caps and things like that. But this is a new test knit. It's for Alethea Handmade again, who made the J top. If I can, I'll put a photo of my version up. I would show you, but it's currently folded away in my drawer and I completely forgot to cut it out. But yes, if I can, I'll put a photo up. This is the Fields top. So I have just started. This will be the back. And then I think I have to go start the front, I think is the next step. I'm actually using different needles. These are 3.5. These are 3.5 millimeters and the pattern recommended 3. And normally I am a very loose knitter. I don't know if maybe I'm kind of stress knitting right now. I don't know, but for whatever reason, I did not get gauge. And it wasn't for the reason that I normally don't get gauge. Normally I have to go down a needle size. I was fully prepared to possibly have to order a 2.5 millimeter needle. But I had too many stitches. That never happens to me. I had to go up needle sizes. I went up 2 needle sizes. Because instead of doing that the 0.25 increments, I just went up 0.5 millimeter. And I was like, then if it's too big, then I know I need to go in the middle. I was thinking that way I won't have to do as much swatching and I can actually get started. So yeah, that's a new one for me. Normally I'm really loose knitter, but that's okay. I'm wondering if it's possibly the yarn I'm using, because it's a fingering weight, but it is quite thin. This is Giddy Yarns as well. This is really lovely and soft. It's a 80-20 merino bamboo blend. And I picked this up from one of her like craft days that she does. And this was left over actually from her spring box that she did earlier on in the year. It's called Nestlings and it's beautiful. So do I have a swatch? I do, so I can kind of show you. I think this is my smaller swatch, but still you'll get the gist. Those are the colours in it. There we go. So yeah, it's beautiful and it's so lovely and soft. I think I have the tag. I do. So yeah, Giddy Yarns. It's gonna reflect a little bit because it's kind of sunny. It was sunny earlier. It's now cloudy but still really bright. But anyway, there's the information. I don't even know if you can read that, to be fair. But yeah, superwash merino, 20% bamboo, 400 meters or 437 yards per 100 grams. And this is March 2025. Yeah, March 2025. Here's spring box. So, yay. I'm hoping now, actually, maybe I'll finish talking about this and then I'll go on to my little tangent. But yeah, 3.5 millimeter needles. These are my Caspian ones that I got. First needle set that I ever got. I like them. The only thing is I found that they wear down after a while. I do prefer my Liquet ones, but I do like these. So if you're looking for a budget friendly option, would recommend. But yeah, I was going to go down a tangent. We'll go down that tangent now. So if you were only here for the knitting content and not really bothered about my rambles, completely understand that, that's fair. I will see you next week for another video. But if you want to stay and listen to my 2 pence that, about whatever, then stick around. So because I am working now, as I mentioned, I'm still trying to be careful and stick to a budget and just save a bunch. One, I am still studying, so there's that, and like student loan repayments and that sort of thing. So yay. Which, to be fair, did kind of bring on myself. New Zealand student loans, if they are interest free, if you stay in New Zealand. After a year, if you've left, you have to pay repayments, and it doesn't, well, you have to pay repayments when you're in New Zealand anyway if you earn over a certain amount. But once you leave the country, you have to do minimum repayments, and also there's interest as well. So to bring that on myself, but the really frustrating thing is even with things like that, I still pay much less here in Scotland than I did back in New Zealand. Now, don't get me wrong, New Zealand's a beautiful country. However, it is expensive. And I know a lot of people, you know, it is one of those things of it is subjective. What one person might see as expensive, you know, I think everyone's feeling the cost of living a little bit. But it is quite a difference what I pay now versus what I paid back in New Zealand. So yeah, but all that to say is that because I've still got those sorts of things going on, I do want to save a bit. And I think, it's probably good practice anyway, to be fair. So I do want, I can start purchasing some yarn again. However, I'm going to be, I think, a little bit more thoughtful about it. And instead of just purchasing something because it's on sale, you know, it will be, okay, I want to knit this project. I have nothing in my stash that works for this. Okay, I will need to get some, but I'm just getting yarn for this project. And I have a couple that I do have planned that I will want to get the yarn for when I get round to knitting those. But I'm trying to knit, I have quite a few patterns that I want to knit that I have the yarn for in my stash. So I'm trying to get through those first. I don't count test knits in that. But yeah, so all that to say is that I am hoping that I can make the occasional purchase, you know, purchase a yarn club every once in a while, that sort of thing, now that I am working. And I am very, very thankful, and I love my job. I think I am very, very lucky. I feel very thankful. We are a small team. Everyone's lovely. We're all a little bit as crazy as each other, to be fair. And I think having worked in childcare as well, that seems to be like, if you work in the care sector, you know, because you're all constantly tired. So I think you're all I think we kind of all have our own brand of crazy to kind of just like, I don't know. It can be a very rewarding sector to work in, but also quite exhausting. Thankfully, I just do the admin side of it, so I deal with things like the financials and that sort of it. So I don't do much within like the actual caring aspect of the job. I do chat to the members when I'm not in my office, and things like that, and ask how they're doing. But I work 3 hours a day, so I work 15 hours a week. I am thankful that because we're dual income, we can do that. Things might change when I'm no longer studying, but right now I struggle, even with probably the less stressful job in the world, only working 3 hours a day and doing an office job, with unfortunately my health being as it is. I'm struggling doing that. There's been days where that's all I can do. By the time I get to the bus to come home, that's it. I can't do anything else, and I will come home and all I can do is just lay there. I was hoping to get a full-time job originally when I was looking for jobs, because obviously you get paid a lot more. But I've had to come to the realization that in reality, I, at least right now, and there's a possibility that I won't be able to for a long while, be able to work full-time. Which I know that there's probably some people out there that are like, you know, I'd rather not work full-time. I would love to be able to work part-time. And don't get me wrong, I am very blessed and almost lucky in the situation that I'm in, that I can just work part-time. I know that there are people with chronic illness who have to work full-time because they have no other choice. But I'm studying accounting. I'm becoming very close to into my degree. This has been 3 years of blood, sweat and tears. I love it. I really, really enjoy it. And it just scratches my brain. And like, you got the side of it that is, you know, your standard practice. So you've got your policies and procedures. Everything's very ordered, organized. You have your steps. You know exactly what you need to do. You just go through the process, and it just makes sense to me, and I really enjoy it. You've also got the other side of it, which is where I'm wanting to go long term, which is auditing and forensic accounting, that more almost investigative side of it, which looking very far into the future. And again, this has been something I've had to really think about, in the sense of I might not be able to. It really depends on what my body decides to do, and also if we're able to find treatments that are available, because as with a lot of chronic illnesses, fibromyalgia has no cure and currently has no treatments either. So I'm just throwing something at the wall and hoping it sticks, and then trying something else and hoping that sticks. My doctor said they can't do anything. I'm waiting on a massive waiting list, which I think has up to 26 weeks waiting. And from what I've been told by other people who have fibromyalgia in the region that I'm in, the pain clinics aren't great. So I'm a bit nervous about that, I think. I'm a bit scared about if I'm just going to get told that it's in my head and I need to think it away, because tried that, didn't work. Carried on working in a fast-paced environment when I probably shouldn't have, and because of that, I now have days where I can't walk. So shouldn't have done that, because I just made it worse. But yeah, in an ideal world, if my health didn't put restrictions on me, I would love to go do a master's in forensic accounting. I know Portsmouth does one by distance. So it's a year, including a postgraduate dissertation. So I would love to do that, and then work for a bit, work in practice in forensic accounting, get some good experience under my belt, really understand what processes we currently have, how we normally go about fraud investigation, prevention, you know, investigation, all that sort of thing. And then once I have a really good, solid amount of experience, I'd love to go do a PhD in forensic accounting. But if I can or cannot do that is yet to be determined. So yeah, it's kind of got a little bit heavy. I might put a thing at the beginning of the chatter section of mentions talks of chronic illness, feel free to skip. But I am thankful though that I can at least, even though sometimes there's days where that's all I can do, and that happens quite often, that I can work. I found a job that I can do and manage my symptoms for the most part. So yeah, because a lot of jobs I was going for, or like I'd look what was available, and at least 50% of them I physically can't do anymore. So that was a bit rough. There's been a lot of heavy realizations over the last, 6 months? I think it's been the last 6 months that things got really bad. So something I have found, and I think it's just that thing, that sense of community, is I have loved watching Retro Claude's videos. If you've not watched her before, I will link her channel in the description. You probably have at least heard of her. She is I think she's a costume designer, is what she trained in. However, she has ME CFS. I also have ME CFS, but mine is not as severe. At the moment, it's actually my fibromyalgia that's causing me a lot of issues. But ME CFS does not help. And so she experiences lots of the same symptoms that I do. And she talks about her journey with chronic illness quite openly. And there's been something that I've found really comforting watching her videos and hearing her talk about her struggles and how she's managing it. It's just that thing of, I think, community. So if you also struggle with chronic illness and are looking for a fibre arts creator whose videos you can binge and, kind of almost feel like you're watching a friend talk about their experiences with it, definitely recommend, especially if you like vintage knitting patterns and vintage style and that sort of thing, because she makes a lot of vintage patterns. So I've been really enjoying watching her videos. I think at one point I probably am just going to binge a bunch of her videos that I've missed. But yeah. Anyway, I think that's enough chatter for me. My throat's going dry. And if I want to go into town, I need to do that soon, because I can feel the fatigue getting worse as it tends to in the afternoon. So I need to hurry up, because if I don't leave soon, I'm not going to be able to go. But yeah, thank you for joining me this week. Again, if you want to follow me on my social media, I have TikTok, Instagram and Ravelry. I will leave those on the screen and in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give me a like. Consider subscribing so you don't miss any future videos. I have not been able to post 2 videos a week for the last 2 weeks. Again, I have not been able to. My health hasn't allowed it. It's really, really frustrating. I'm hoping to try and get back into it, because next week I'm on uni break for 2 weeks. So should have more time, which also means that hopefully I can record a video, and then if I need to have a nap afterwards, I'm not worried about uni work. That's my hope. So yeah, be sure to subscribe if you want to stick around and see some more of my videos. And until then, enjoy whatever it is that you're making. I hope you are taking care of yourself. I hope you are well, and I will see you next week. Bye bye.